Okay, and welcome everyone to another Reflections from Reignite PRO. I'm joined today by the devilishly good-looking Ed. Ed, how are you doing?
I'm really good, Alex. Thank you. Really
Good.
good.
Well, I thought, Ed, if you wouldn't mind just maybe giving a bit of background about yourself,
Mhm.
and maybe in what you do for a living, how we met, and anything else that you think is kind of relevant or pertinent.
Sure. So I am a lawyer by background. Um, I am now the CEO. I founded a business in 2007, of which I am now the CEO. So I don't do any client advisory work, but I am, running a business that has best part of 60 people in it and roughly 6 million in revenues. I'm 57 years old. I am at a stage in my life where I'm starting to think about stepping back from the business. There's a way to go with the business to get me to that point. So I've been looking for the last few years. I've been looking for help help with the sort of the vision both for the business, but for me personally as well. Uh, I met you, Alex. So I was one of the recipients of a cold email from you, and it just got to me at the right time. So the messaging was just kind of what I was going to respond to. I was looking for somebody that I could work with over an extended period of time that would help me with some clarity around where I was going, both with the business and with my life as well, and helping me create a vision for myself for the future and sort of think through what a transition from where I am now to where the business needs to be for me to be able to take a step back and then move through that transition of actually stepping back. So that was number one, and then number two was one of the things I've noticed. I'm quite a fit and active person, but over the last few years, I've just let things slide a little bit, not to a huge degree, but to the point where I was feeling a bit uncomfortable in the way I felt about myself and had resolved that I needed to do something about that, and in particular lose some weight. And so your messaging around, kind of grab hold of your future, create a vision for yourself, and lose some weight and get your nutrition under control were all the messages I wanted to hear. So that's why I responded.
Nice. Okay, and if we kind of like start there, right? So, you're running a successful business.
Mhm.
You're leading a quite a large team, and the business is doing well. And again, it's like you cycle a lot. You're an active guy. You've been an active guy for a large portion of your life, your adult life. What was it that made you think or stop and think over the last year or two, and particularly at that moment, that actually I do want some help with this?
Um, I think it was two things. One was, frankly, look, an expanding waistline, and in practical terms, putting on clothes at the beginning of the summer that I hadn't worn for 6 to 8 months, and them being noticeably snugger than they had been before. So I'm just going for that. So yeah, I mean, realizing that my body shape was not what I wanted it to be, I notice that when I'm cycling. So I do long distance cycling events, and look, if you're carrying an extra 10 kilos, you go uphill slower, and it's harder work. And I was, when it's just 1 or 2 kilos, you probably don't feel it. When it's 10, you definitely do. Um, so that was definitely part of it. And then the second part was a realization that, look, I'm 57 years old. The business is doing well. It could be doing better, and to get it to the point where um, it's going to allow me to either exit or start to take a step back. There's quite a lot of work needs to be done. to get from here to there, and part of that is around mindset. So I think looking back now from the kind of the other end of the telescope, from the end of the process, one of the things I learned was that with my business partners, we'd probably let some things slide. It had probably become a bit cozy. We weren't probably being as honest with each other and holding each other accountable. So there was a sense that I needed some help with, just help me make sense of what I'm looking at the moment and create a vision for the future, and then help me with what do I need to be doing? How do I need to change? And then some strategies to how I can bring some of those changes into the business.
Okay. And so, at that point, you're feeling a little bit comfortable, yes, inside and outside work, right? Maybe the accountability, the self-accountability outside of work isn't where it would used to be.
Yeah.
You're on the health front. And then in work, it sounds like, you as one of the partners, and there's two other partners, as I understand it, within your business. Correct. Maybe some of the accountability between the three of you wasn't there. Like, how was that, or was that impacting other areas of your life? And if so, like, how was it impacting?
From the business, no, I don't think so. It was more a fairly low level frustration that we weren't growing as quickly as we could do. So we see a huge opportunity, and we just become a bit cautious, a little bit cozy, and it's doing the more difficult things and the more challenging things that we were just shying away from a little bit. And I think with the benefit of hindsight, that's definitely part of why we've not, as I say, with the business is doing well, it is growing, but it's certainly not growing as much as it could and probably should have done. Beyond the business, I don't think those issues were impacting my personal life or life outside the business, although some of the habits I would say had done. So that mentioned before about sort of letting certain things slide, and I think I could definitely see that in my life, and in particular what I was eating and drinking. That I just got into some bad habits, and as I'm sure with a lot of people, right, okay, next week I'm gonna drink less next week, or I'm not going to eat crisps next week, or I'm going to do dry January or whatever. Never really happened. Went into all those sorts of things very half-heartedly. They never really happened. And as I guess, as with most things, you don't notice it until it's almost too late. So suddenly, you take stock of where you are and say, okay, I can feel that I'm overweight now. I can recognize that haven't got a particularly healthy diet, and I can recognize that I'm drinking too much. And so, how did that happen? And then it's okay, well, I definitely need to do something about this now.
And did it ever feel like maybe you weren't going at the pace you wanted to go, or almost, didn't have the energy to push forwards on all of the fronts that you wanted to?
Yeah, I would say so. I was noticing that my natural energy levels were dropping, and I think part of me I put down to you're getting old, so it's natural, isn't it? But I guess the more I thought about it, the more I thought, actually there's probably something linked to how I'm living and the exercise I'm doing, which had become quite one-dimensional. So I'm a long-distance cyclist, so I just ride my bike, right? And did very little, if anything, outside of that. And just, this kind of penny drop moment that actually these things are probably all interconnected. And I mean, the other point I haven't mentioned was that my blood pressure, again, over time had started to creep up. and it was something that I was getting checked yearly, and the doctor would usually say, "Yeah, it's nothing to worry about. It's slightly on the high side. You should do something about that. Drink less, exercise more, eat less fatty foods. Yeah, in ear, one out the other." But then I was starting to measure it myself on a fairly regular basis, and I could see it was going up, going up, going up. And other than contacting the doctor and saying, "What should I be doing?" to which the doctor's response was, "Well, you have to go on medication, don't you? That's what we do." Which I'm never particularly comfortable with that as an outcome. So thinking, actually, this is potentially getting to the point where it's serious. So I need to address it.
So you made the decision that now's the time to change and you want to get help and support on that journey. What was your expectation or expectations coming into the program, and how was that different, or was that different to the reality?
So one of the motivators that made me think, okay, I need to do something now, is one of my cycling buddies who had done it was just a gym-based program with a personal trainer. And I'm sure if he were to look at me, would say, "You don't need to lose any weight." And similarly, I would look at him and say, "You don't need to lose any weight." And he did this thing for 3 months and he lost 10 kilos. And I was thinking, okay, that would be fantastic if I could do that. But I'm almost thinking, am I prepared to put in? I was hearing the sessions that Roloff was doing, and thinking, it sounds like really hard work, and it's time and it's dedication, and I'm not sure that's going to happen for me. So in my wildest dreams, that was one of the goals. Did I realistically think it was going to happen? Probably not. And to be honest with you, I hadn't thought about, because I was focused on the weight loss bit, I hadn't really thought much about what it might be beyond that and what I might learn and gain from the program beyond that.
Maybe sort of, so linking it to, some people have said PT, some people have said health coaching, some people have said exec coaching. Maybe anything that you've tried in the past, like how was Reignite PRO different to what you might have tried in the past?
So the things that I have tried in the past have either been totally driven by myself. So I've signed up to classes or whatever it might be, or where I've worked with people one-on-one. It's just been about one aspect. So it's just been about your management style, or it's just been about how can we get your business to the next level, or it's just been about training for a particular event with a fitness coach. And the difference here is that it's brought all of those things together, and again, kind of realizing that everything's interconnected. If you're eating better and looking after yourself, you're going to feel better about yourself, but you are going to have more energy. If you've got more energy, you can bring more enthusiasm, bring that energy into your business. Your personal goals are absolutely linked to your business goals. So how are those two things married up? So it's that whole holistic approach that was just radically different to anything I've seen before.
Nice. And so fast forward 3 months, right? Coming off the end of the program.
Yeah.
And you achieved some fantastic outcomes, some insane outcomes, right? 9 to 10 kilos different. In terms of weight loss. So went from kind of just over 92 kilos down to 82. You had a 3-year life plan that we got in place. You made some pretty big decisions when it came to you personally, and also the business. And you've lined up the partners behind some pretty strong business goals for the next 18 months. Having achieved all of that in a relatively short period of time, how did that make you feel?
Wow. Well, look, it's not overstating things, Alex, to say that this has been transformational for me, working with you and going through the program. It has, yeah, it has transformed my life. The weight loss is a very kind of pleasing, I guess almost like a symptom of that. It's something that's happened because of. So the big things that have happened. So I was drinking too much before I came into the program, and one of the first sessions that we had, I almost blurted it out, and it was like I'd wanted to talk to somebody about this for a long time and just hadn't known how to do it. So just being able to talk to somebody that was kind of on my side, but was going to be tough with me and make me face up to it was, yeah, that was a massive moment for me. And I think getting hold of that and feeling like I was getting in control of that just gave me so much, yeah, sort of motivation. So it was one of those things that I just put in the too difficult to deal with box, and suddenly seeing, yeah, you can, and it's not that difficult. It's not that difficult, and I do think a big part of that is knowing that I was having a weekly call with you, and engaging with some of the tools that you make available to us. So keeping diaries of food and all that sort of stuff, made me think about nutrition in a totally different way. So yeah, it's transformed my relationship with alcohol, and I think that's given me the confidence, and it, kind of all the other stuff to think, okay, you really can achieve whatever you want to achieve here. So
Powerful, right?
yeah.
And if we just hone in on maybe one of those areas, the nutrition, for a second. So sometimes, people that I talk to or work with can have been on diets in the past.
Yeah.
They'll go on a diet, they'll lose some weight, they'll feel maybe good about themselves losing the weight, they maybe won't feel good on the diet itself. And then when they come off it, they kind of almost always return to normal or normal plus some. Try and do on Reignite PRO is a little bit different. How did you find that approach, more of a lifestyle approach with, the dietitian support, etc.?
Well, I would say it doesn't feel like I've been on a diet. I can see that my diet has changed and my attitude to food has changed, but I don't feel, it doesn't feel like I've been dieting. It's quite difficult to sort of explain that. And yet I must have been, because I've lost 10 kilos, but I don't feel like I've denied myself anything. I've just become a lot more conscious, I guess, of what I'm eating. And it's, part of that is cutting out crappy stuff. But it's also thinking more about, my age and my lifestyle, and making sure I've got the best balance of nutrients to support me. If I want to go and do a big bike ride, then I need to think about that, and need to think about how I fuel my body, not just in the day before or the week before, but months before. And again, if I'm leading a business that's taking on some big challenges and wants to grow aggressively, I need to have energy. I need to be getting out of the bed in the morning and feeling clear-headed and full of energy, and not lethargic or not having dips in the middle of the day. So yeah, it's been my relationship with food. I didn't have a bad relationship with food before at all, but yeah, the phrase I used a minute ago, being a lot more conscious about what I'm eating and why. And it's clearly made a big difference, but it hasn't felt difficult at all. I've not felt like I'm denying myself anything at any time. And the way the program works is you can't have whatever you want, but just be aware that it's got consequences. So think about what you have said your goals are in this and what you want to achieve. And you're going to have to come on a call and have a, potentially a difficult conversation with you once a week, because you can see it. You're very big on measuring things, and it's clear if you're not sort of following the rules, then it shows in the stats that you're measuring.
Your measurements were fantastic, right? We saw, weight come down, we saw blood pressure come down.
Yep.
But outside of just, some of the quantifiable KPIs, we also touched on some changes to relationships, right?
Yeah.
You'll hear me talk about, if anyone that follows me on my socials, talk about becoming, the role model for yourself, the role model for your partner, the role model for your family.
Yeah.
Like, what happened or what changed in that space in terms of like relationships?
So it certainly had I think it's driven me on the business side to say redefine the relationship is probably overstating it, but being confident enough to address some of the issues that I could see, small issues, not massive ones, but small ones, but ones that needed to be addressed. And I either hadn't known how to or just wasn't brave enough, frankly, to address them with my business partner, that were mostly about accountability and driving those changes through, which early days yet, but we've had the conversations and we've agreed some changes. So I'm really, really hopeful there. And then at home, it's enabled my wife and I to have some conversations about certain things that, again, we'd been avoiding. I mean, all positive stuff, but about where we want to take our lives over the next 10 years and how we're going to deal with some of the challenges that we're facing. And I'm sure there were things that Julie had wanted to say to me, but didn't quite know how to raise with me, and for me to be able to say, okay, here are some of the things that I've been learning from this program. I now want to talk to you about them. And she said, "Oh God, that's fantastic. I didn't know how to raise that with you." So, it's as I said before, it's been transformational.
Awesome. Well, I guess if looking back at your time in the program, what's your key takeaway, if it can be one, or key takeaways?
Change doesn't need to be difficult, would be number one. You need to want to do it. And I think you need to understand the drivers, whether you are going into a diet or some sort of other change. I think unless you understand deep down what it is that's motivating you to make the change, it's going to be so much harder. So the first session we did together was looking at goals and outcomes. What do you want for the end of the program, and then beyond that, and why do you want that? So that was a really key takeaway. So big change is possible in short periods of time. And if you'd said to me at the beginning of this, in 3 months' time, and you did say to me, look at these other people before that have been through the program, I probably thought, I bet he's got some that don't achieve those results. You did say those things to me. I probably didn't fully believe them, but I'm absolutely guaranteeing that you are going to be 10 kilos lighter. You're going to have to go and buy a new wardrobe of trousers because the ones you've got at the moment are going to be too big for you. I probably wouldn't have believed you, but I would have just been thrilled at that prospect. And I mean, it's, little things like being on holiday in a warm climate and being comfortable walking around with the shirt off or going in the swimming pool. And the impact on my self-confidence that those little, albeit you might think quite vain things, it's just been enormous. And that feeds into everything else. Key takeaways. Big change is big changes possible, you really need to want to do it and be willing to put the time in. But if you're doing it for the right reasons, you understand what reasons are, it's not difficult.
Fantastic reflection. It's yeah, really in depth there. Final question, just because of time, is some people, particularly some people that I speak to, will see their health as a separate vertical to other areas in their life, almost like a bolt-on. Will often feel like they just don't have enough time to focus on it. So those that are successful in spite of their health, rather than it as a something that underpins it.
Yeah.
What would you say to those guys that maybe feel like that?
So you can't expect to be successful and carry on being successful over a period of time if you don't regard your health as a key component of what it is that makes you successful. And health is sleeping enough, looking after your mental well-being, eating and drinking the right things, taking exercise. Again, that they're all things that impact on your health. If you neglect it, it's like any other facet of your business. It's like your cash flow. It's like chasing up your debtors. It's like putting the effort into business development. And I can understand why people sometimes find it hard to think of that as part of the whole, but it absolutely is. It absolutely is.
Awesome. Well, Ed, I want to thank you very much for popping on and talking to everyone today, and just chatting through your journey, your experience. If you guys do have any questions, please feel free to pop them in the comments, and we'll make sure that either myself or Ed circles around and answers them. Just a pleasure being in your corner, Ed, and supporting you over the last 3 months, watching you grow on multiple fronts, and really, really excited for you in 2024 and beyond.
Thanks, Alex. It's been, as I say, it's been a transformational experience, and I've really enjoyed working with you.
Awesome. All right, guys. Cheers.
Thanks.
Now. Bye.